Hello. Alright, so I'm just going to do this really quick. This is a brief description of me and my story with Crohn's. I am currently 24. I just turned 24 a few months ago, and I got sick on January, let's say 30th of 2000. And that's the day I got Crohn's, and I felt it when I started having the cramps, and my stomach was hurting, and I thought I just had a cold or ate something bad, and I was sick. So we started going to the doctor, and about weeks and weeks and weeks went by, and they're like, oh, you have the flu, you have this, you have that, and nobody wanted to say or do any more testing because I was young and nobody really thought anything of it at that time. So after a year, they finally admitted me to the hospital, and I got some colonoscopies and some other tests done, and they found out that I had Crohn's disease. Originally, they had put me on steroids because that's probably the most common thing they use to treat a flare for Crohn's. It's prednisone, so I was on like 60 plus milligrams of that, and they were putting me on all these different medications for Crohn's and colitis to treat it, and it turned out that none of them were working, and I found out that I was allergic to all sulfur drugs because I ended up having anaphylactic shock from taking one of them. And the main drugs that they use for Crohn's and colitis and arthritis is sulfur drugs. So I couldn't take any of that stuff anymore. So they kept trying new things, and nothing was working. I was always in the hospital, in and out, till I was about 16 years old. Or 15 years old, rather, and that's when they put me on Cipro and Flagyl, which are antibiotics that worked for Crohn's, and they started to help a little bit. But then about a year or so later, I started getting this really severe joint pain, and I couldn't even move after it was happening for about 3 years, slowly but happening, and it was really painful, and I kept going to the doctors, and they were like, oh, it might be arthritis because you can get that from Crohn's. And then the arthritis doctor was like, no, it's your Crohn's isn't under control. And the Crohn's doctor was like, this is the best we've had, your Crohn's. I don't know what he's talking about. We're not going to do anything, blah, 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 blah. So nobody was doing anything, and it just progressively got worse. So I started going to Stony Brook because I was out at LIJ. And I would just go there and, be upset and cry. But I was just like, what's wrong with me? Like, this isn't right. I'm 15 years old. Like, this shouldn't be happening. And they didn't have any answers for me. And for about 2 years, we were going to different doctors trying to figure it out. And initially, they had thought that I had this disease called AVN, which is avascular necrosis. And what it is your joint hips, instead of being round, they become flat, kind of like that. And the ends of them die off. So, Zeus, Penny. So they wanted to give me total hip transplants, and my parents were like, what, are you serious? Like, she's 15 years old, 16 years old, like, that's crazy. So we went to a few different doctors, and that's what they all said. And my parents were like, no. So finally we went to another doctor, and the doctor had me taking Aleve because it was an anti-inflammatory and pain medication. So it started working, and I started getting better. I ended up getting my hip strained somewhere between this year, and I got them drained once, and then I also got my knees drained twice. And then after my doctor told me that it wasn't in my joints anymore, it was actually my muscles, that I was okay, and he let me not see them anymore. I started just taking the Aleve, and I had a really bad flare-up because I was taking the Aleve because it was the only thing that was making my body feel better. And when I was about 19, I had a really bad flare-up. And when I had the flare-up, they put me in the hospital, and they had then switched medications because I switched doctors to Remicade and methotrexate, and it started to actually make my Crohn's feel better, and my joints started feeling better because they found out that it was from the arthritis, and it was also from inflammation in my joints because with the Crohn's disease, it will manifest in inflammation. That's what it is. It's inflammation in your intestines. So if it can't manifest there, it just goes somewhere else. So it was going to my joints, and that's very common. So they put me on that, and it was helping, and it was working very well. Then about a year later, I had my kidney shut down because of all the medications I was on. I got too dehydrated. So they had to stop the methotrexate, and they kept me on the Remicade, and they were kind of nervous of having me on it because of what happened. I was in the hospital for a week, and I had to take kidney transplant medications. They gave me about 5 to 8 liters of water in a day, and nothing was coming out. And I was just filling up like I was a balloon. And then after that, they had tried put me on methotrexate again, but my liver kept spiking. So they took me off. And then they put me back on it, and I was okay, but then I started feeling shitty, so I had them take me off of it. So since then, I've been on Remicade, and even being on Remicade since my kidneys failed, which is about 4 years ago, the Remicade that I'm on isn't working as well as it used to. Now, I know with Remicade you're supposed to get it every 8 weeks, but even when I first started, it was too long, 8 weeks, and they cut it down to 6 weeks. But then I had the kidneys fail, and my livers kept spiking, so they didn't want to increase it anymore, even though I was still having flare-ups a week or two before I was supposed to get it. And then lately, within the last year or two, I've been having flare-ups. They're still a week or two before, but I also have little ones in between then. And my joints start to swell up and flare up like really bad now, a week or two before, which they used to kind of be okay. It was just my Crohn's, and my joints were alright, but now it's just both. And the joints get really bad where I can't move again, and I'm like in a lot of pain, and I have to take like steroids and then wait for half the day for them to actually start working before I can move. And then I wake up the same way in pain the next day, and it just sucks. So, So since then, I've been having the flare-ups. Now, I have like strictures in my intestines where the parts are closing off, so sometimes I become very anemic from it, and plus I have ulcers too. So sometimes I have to take like iron, and I get really bad fatigue from it, and I have many other, almost everything that comes with having Crohn's I have. And it's just been getting like worse and worse over the year. Not worse and worse, but like since I've been on Remicade, it's going back to how it used to be now that it's not working as much as it used to. And it's going back to the time where like my joints were always in pain and it was hard for me to move and achy and stuff. So I was attempting to be at work, and they took me out because I was having a very bad flare-up and was becoming very anemic. And when I went back to work, I ended up flaring up, catching pneumonia, flaring up. I couldn't move out of bed. My joints were all swollen and in pain, and I couldn't move. And I had to go back out because it was like week after week, something else was new. I was out for 2 weeks, in for a week, out for 2 weeks, in for a week, and it was just too chaotic, and I kept getting sick. So I had me out. Now, since I've been out, what's been happening is I've been getting these headaches, and I've been getting them for a while now, and I think they're because of my eyes, but anyway, the only thing that makes them go away, they're like serious migraines, but like I puke and stuff from like them, and the only thing that's been making them better is Aleve, but unfortunately Aleve flares your stomach up, so it's constantly like headache, sick, headache, sick, headache, sick. It's a few times a week too, so I've been dealing with that. And I've been obviously going to get the stem cell transplant because I've had all these complications, and I've had many more. I'm just not naming them all because this is very brief. But I'm just waiting now. Waiting and waiting and waiting for the stem cell transplant so that all these problems go away and I could be normal again for 15 long years. Which I hope happens because having Crohn's sucks, and having joint pains is even worse. So I hope this helps anybody who is in my same situation or thinking about getting a stem cell transplant. And that's why I'm making these videos. Also to spread the word, because not many people know about this, and I feel like they should, because I'm sure there's tons of people that everyone knows that has Crohn's or MS or RA or anything, and have been dealing with struggles like I have been, and it sucks, and you know, you just want to live a normal life again. So hopefully you can share the word and maybe help someone. Okay, thanks.